My name is Jamila. My friends, they call me Jam. I've been sober. I'm going to be 1 year on the 17th of this month, January 17th, 2021. My mom is Mexican. My dad is from Palestine. We lived in Los Feliz, Echo Park, but then my dad got a good job. So we moved from an apartment to a house here in the valley. My childhood was okay. I mean, my mom was a little tough. She was a little violent sometimes, but I think, she did the best she could. I'm an only child. It's just me. I think I was just a little overweight, lonely kid because I was by myself. And then my mom would always tell me you're overweight. So I think that's kind of what fast forward led to me to, I think, using crystal meth because I wanted to get skinny. So yeah. And then I guess I was depressed. I started getting depressed I think around 10 or 11. I was writing really dark poetry. I didn't feel my mom really loved me. Now, of course, I see that she obviously did love me, but hindsight, I guess. For high school, I went to a Catholic school. I went to Bishop Alamania High School. High school was pretty cool, full of angst. I wanted to rebel against my parents. They were very overprotective. So, my big thing was down with authority. I was punk rock. I went to shows, steel-toed boots, punk bands, jackets, backyard shows. I used to go to a backyard show right here down the street. And there was a band called the 40 Ouncers. And they were just famous San Fernando Valley, punk band, And, that's when I think I started to drink. Because it's punk, I guess. Drinking 40s, drinking beer, sniffing glue, So, but in high school, I ended up, I guess being kind of popular. I don't know. I was I guess different, I guess. And, so, I was almost prom queen. Yeah, high school brought a lot of, insecurities. I became anorexic when I was, 16. My friend was oh, yo, you know what's going to make you skinny? Crystal meth. So, I was young, getting high with a lot of, bad people, me, I was the type of person that can infiltrate, any type of group, if you're punk, you kind of hang out over there, in Panorama with, the homies, too, and they were always at the shows, so the gangsters obviously had the drugs, and, so, me and my homegirls, we were, getting high and being rowdy. And then I got skinny. I became anorexic. I was working out and starving myself. But then crystal meth just made it easier to not eat and then still focus and do stuff. And then when I was 17, I smoked heroin for the first time with a friend of one of my ride or die girls. It was her birthday, her 18th birthday, and she was like, "Oh, it would be fun. Let's go get a bunch of heroin and kick it, And so that was the first time I smoked heroin. And I really liked it, but back then it was really hard to find. And also my parents, they caught me getting high. They caught me with drugs. So then my mom put me in a program for juveniles, and I was drug tested every week. I think I'm 18 and 19, I was just drinking a lot, just drinking all the time, constantly. But I wasn't using drugs. I mean, I was smoking weed, obviously, but. And then I met my first boyfriend, my future ex-husband, my son's father, and so he was really abusive, right? And so I broke up with him because I got pregnant and I had an abortion because he was really violent and he was controlling, I didn't want to have a baby with him because I could see it. And so I was really depressed because of the breakup and because of the abortion that I started getting high again. I started using crystal meth again. And I also got my first DUI. I got busted for the first time. I was trying to find some heroin that night. I remember it was a going away party at the bar down the street from here. And I had, on my way to the bar, I had a pint of whiskey and then a tall can of Old English. And then at the bar, I had 12 Guinnesses. I'm not exaggerating, okay? I'm not exaggerating. And then my homies were Jam, you come home with us, because I was obviously really drunk, And I was no, I'm fine. So I was really depressed, and so I was trying to go find some heroin. So I picked up these two random guys, and they drove me somewhere, and then my tire popped on my car, and the police pulled me over, and they were trying to help me, but then they could smell, obviously, that I alcohol on my breath. And they were ma'am, have you been drinking? And I'm like, yeah. And like, I think maybe it was like a blessing because like these fools were like getting kind of weird, you know, like they were starting to give me weird vibes. And like, I think maybe the cops pulled me over for, I don't know. I just feel like maybe it just kind of saved me, you know, because yeah. And so I went to jail and I threw up all over my cell. I just remember waking up to like 3 police officers looking at me like disgusted. And, you know, I was just really scared of my mom coming to pick me up. I was like, keep me in jail because I don't want to face my mom. But anyways, yeah, so I guess I started getting high again. And then I got back with with Carlos. His name is Carlos. And then him and I started to get high together. It was just like a bad idea. It was a horrible, worst idea I think I've ever had, was to get high with him. Because he's sober, he's already volatile. Coming down, that's when he started to get physically violent. I had another abortion. And then I got raped and I got pregnant, had another abortion. And so then I started using heroin again. And heroin is like on and off through here. But that's like, opiates is my preference, obviously. I mean, I'm the type of person that like just wants to run away from her problems. Like, I don't want to feel anything because it's just too much, you know? Yeah, when I got raped, my Carlos, he was like blaming me for it, you know? But at the same time, he wanted me to press charges. So I didn't want to, obviously, because I felt really ashamed. Like, I did feel like it was my fault that it happened, you know? But like, he was like, you know, press charges to prove to me that you didn't just sleep with this guy, you know? So that was really hard because at the time that I decided to press charges, I got pregnant with my son. So, you know, and I feel like, you know, we got married, actually. We got married in December of 2014. I feel like my son was conceived in a haze of heroin and crystal meth. And that's when I really started getting high on heroin a lot more. Even behind my husband's back, because I was in pain. He would break my ribs and then I would just die. You know, I didn't know what to do. You know, like, I didn't want to he was very abusive, like extremely abusive. Like, a week after we got married, this was like pulling my hair, beating me up, like, and like telling me, you know, you're good for nothing, you're a fat, blah, blah, blah. And like, you know, I shouldn't have married you, like, I'm going to kill you, blah, blah, blah. And so, you know, he was very intense. And then, so I was using heroin behind his back because I just to cope with it, you know? And then I found out I was pregnant, so, with my son. And I was like, I'm not going to have another abortion. That's too hard, you know? We were living in the street at this point, him and me. I was kicking heroin, like, in secret, you know? And so then I like, you know, I stopped getting high off of hard drugs. I smoked weed to deal with my morning sickness. I even asked my doctor if it was fine. She was like, yeah, you know. She's like, I'm not supposed to tell you this, but, you know, it doesn't hurt the baby, you know? And because I couldn't eat, you know, I was really sick. I think, and then, you know, he was like, you know, we finally got a place to live, like a little room. And then we finally graduated from a little room to a 1-bedroom apartment. So we got out of the street, but it was really difficult because, like, I was pregnant and this fool was like, you know, he would wake up in the morning with, like, either he was in a really good mood or either he just felt like throwing stuff at me. You know, I'm pregnant right here. This was throwing a remote at me because I got the wrong weed at the dispensary or something. It was just difficult and it was hard to stay sober, but like off of hard drugs at that time. But I did it up until my birthday, 2015, October 2nd. And like he decided to get high, and so he's getting high, you know, and so I got high too. And then my son was born on October 6th. Like official overdoses, like, you know, obviously, you know, I had times when I did too much, you know, took too much Oxycontin or whatever, and I got sick. But when I first really like stopped breathing, it was last year. I lost custody of my son in October. I was living in motels. I was living in the street, and I started shooting up. I was always just smoking the drugs. But when I lost my son, I was like, you know, whatever. I lost everything. I'm just going to start shooting up. So, somebody stole my Suboxone. I was taking Suboxone at the time. So somebody stole it because living in the street, you get robbed, you know? And I was kicking from that. And so my tolerance was obviously very low. I was in the park in Pacoima, and I was kicking. I was sick. I was withdrawing really bad. By then it was cold, when it's cold, you can't really find a vein. It's hard. I just wanted to feel better. So I ran into a girl that I knew, and I asked her, can you hit, can you find a spot like to hit easily, fast? And she was like, yeah. So, I'm giving her my arm, and she's like, hey, like, I can hit you in the neck, right? And I was like, whatever, I don't care, just do it, And so she cooks up a shot, and like, a lot of people warned me, like, don't let somebody else cook up your shot because you don't know, like, how strong it's going to be. But whatever, I didn't care, So she's like, oh, I can get you in the neck. You have a good vein right there. So I was like, whatever, I don't care. And so she did, and I just felt myself getting all warm. And then all of a sudden, like, everything just went black, And they said that I wasn't breathing for like 30 seconds. And then, so fast forward to a couple of days after that, I'm in a McDonald's, and I took like about 5 or 6 Xanax bars, and I think I was feeling like bleak and like depressed or something, and I did a shot in the bathroom of McDonald's. The paramedics were called on me, and then my friends kind of like got me out of there. And then another 2 days later, I went to Target, and I was trying to like come up, steal and stuff, and I took like another like couple bars. And then I did a really big shot in the bathroom. And that's when, that was a really dangerous time because I was all by myself. And my mom, I just remember waking up to the paramedics, and my mom's there, and I guess later on she told me that, I guess like they called her from my phone, that I was telling them to call her because somebody else called the paramedics for me. And then she showed up, and like, yeah, I just remember her there. After, I think, like, my first overdose didn't scare me. I thought it was funny, I guess, at the time. I thought, check, I got an overdose, I think the times when I really realized I need to stop were the times where when I was trying to find a vein and I couldn't hit. And I'm sitting there for, like, I guarantee you, like, 2 hours. Poking myself. And that's when it starts to dawn on me, like, what am I doing? Like, this is so nasty. This is so, like, painful. This is so ridiculous. I could be with my kid. I could be doing something else. But instead I'm sitting in a cold, dirty, ghetto bathroom trying to find a vein to put some poison in my body that may be going to kill me, Like, that was when I was, like, those were the times that I was like, what am I doing? What am I doing? Because I would just look at my surroundings, and I just remember the cold concrete bathroom stalls with no doors, metal toilets, graffiti everywhere. And I'm like cold, but here I'm sitting on the floor of a dirty bathroom, little tops of water bottles with blood and cotton balls. And what am I doing, Like, I'm a smart girl. Those were the times that I was really like, this needs to stop. Well, I mean, the big thing was losing custody of my son. I don't think that if I had a kid, I probably wouldn't have realized that I need to stop getting high. Because it's not just my life, it's his life. My son was the one thing that made me feel complete that wasn't drugs. Like the one thing that I felt like I was good at, the one thing that loves me no matter what, that I love him, and we just got each other, Trying to be a better person to be a better mom for him is what motivated me to realize that I can be a good person, and that, I shouldn't be wasting my life living like a vampire, like a zombie, when I have this life that I brought into the world. Because, like, I would see a lot of my friends come from these broken families, and I would see the damage it does to them. And, like, I didn't want my son to grow up damaged and, like, struggle. I've always struggled with this. Do they love me? Do they not love me? I want to be what they want me to be. when, like, you know, I have a kid that doesn't care, you know, like, he just loves me and I just love him. And I don't know, it just kind of motivated me to get my priorities into check, to acknowledge that, like, I'm not a bad person. I did bad things because I needed to survive, you know, and because I was in a state of mind that those things were okay, you know, like robbing people, check fraud, blah, 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 blah. It's not that I was a bad person. It's just, I think, you know, I in the wrong place, you know, and I just needed to find a way to use my smarts. And because I was really good at, like, check fraud and stuff like that, like, you know, and I used to like doing that just because I like the thrill. Like, sometimes I didn't even just keep the money for myself. I just like the thrill. But then, like, little by little, I started to realize, you know, I could use my smarts into other stuff. But that's a part of, like, my journey, I suppose, or something. Yeah. Because I have the DCFS case open, right? I still have it open. And they were trying to get me into rehab around here. And I just kept missing the appointments to get a bed and this and that. I kept making any excuse to not go. And I have family in Mexico, and one of them, she's a therapist. And so I guess she brought the idea up to my mom. I don't know. It's just like, you know, one day, you know, it just seemed like the right thing to do. My passport came in the mail. And, you know, I just, you know, literally because I was thinking about a rehab, Tarzana, you know, rehab. And I used to sell drugs to the people outside, you know. So that made me think, like, okay, you know, it's not going to work if I'm out here. Like, it's just too close to home. It's too close for comfort, you know. So if I go somewhere where I just can't leave, you know, then I have to get clean. Then because I need to be there for my kid. And I'm going to die. Like, I'm going to die out here. You know, I'm going to go to jail. I'm going to die or something. And my kid's never going to have a mom or a dad because his dad's lost somewhere too. Well, it's funny because, okay, like, everything leading up to just everything last week that I was out in the street to when I got back from Mexico, you know, like, I was living in a motel for a couple days, and my mom was like, okay, I'm going to pick you up on the 16th, and we're going to go to Mexico. And the night, I had a warrant out for my arrest, and the night before, I was out with my homie, like, we were going to buy cigarettes or something. It was like 5 a.m, and he was wearing a pea hat, and, like, you know, from the hood he's from, it was, we were in an enemy territory. And so the cops see his hat and they pull us over. And he's like, dear, like, you know what you're doing? Like, wearing that hat in this area, like, it's going to get you killed, you know? And, like, you know, he had a lot of drugs on him. And, you know, I was like, oh my God, I'm going to get arrested. I'm never going to make it to rehab. But luckily the cop was like, oh, you know, I'm just checking for guns, you know? And so that was like, okay. But in the flight to Mexico, like, I was really scared. I didn't want to get sick, you know, like, start withdrawing. So I literally smuggled a half a gram of heroin from here to Mexico. And, like, I guess I didn't notice that there was a bunch of syringes and a broken pookie in my luggage and in my carry-on. Like, full syringes, like, already made to go, you know? I thought, oh, I just have a piece of heroin in my mouth, you know, like, to sneak it out past customs. But no, when I get to Mexico, the lady that's looking through my stuff to check me into the rehab, she's like, what's this? It's like syringes, a broken piece, foil, weed. And I'm like, oh my God, you know, because customs did call me back. Like, they called me back because I guess I had some pliers, and I don't know, they just didn't find it, which I feel like is maybe like my higher power. Like, you know, you need to get to rehab. We're not going to bust you. Like, right here, like, this needs to happen. It was just crazy. So I was there. The first couple of days were obviously horrible because I was withdrawing, and they didn't put me on methadone, they didn't put me on Suboxone. They were just like, it was not like cold turkey culture, but kind of, because, like, I think they gave me melatonin to sleep or something. What? You know, like, come on, you know, I don't know, but I was, like, kicking so bad. It was horrible. But then after a while, after a couple weeks passed by, I felt better, and little by little, things started to dawn on me. Like, okay, like, first of all, the biggest thing that helped me was that you can't do this alone. You know, like, that, I think that's the thing that has helped me the most, is you can't do it alone. You need help. I tried for many years, tried doing it by myself. I can get clean. It's not a big deal. But it wasn't until I got help, accepted help, that I actually maintain my sobriety. Because you can do it, but you can't. I don't think you can maintain it without help.
I'm pretty sure your son's proud of you, your family.
Yeah, they're super proud of me. I'm proud to have made it. Almost 12 months clean. That's crazy. I never thought I would be proud of being clean, I was always like, oh, I'm the party girl, the craziest girl in the room, you know what I mean? I'm happy to be, clean. That goes hand in hand with getting my son back. Because, I've seen a lot of girls, a lot of people don't get their kids back, and I'm really proud that I was able to get him back in my custody and maintain custody of him. Like, I'm doing my program, I'm just taking care of everything, and it's crazy. I'm living a normal life. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, you know what? This is a big thing that helped me. Every time I feel like, I want to get high. I try to remember that the best day in my active addiction, is not as good as the worst day sober. Like, even a bad day clean rivals any day high on the street, the best day high on the street. And to always replay the movie, like the bad parts and the good parts, the movie of your life, Don't just look at the glorious times, look at the horrible times too, because then it'll remind you, can't go back, Oh yeah, shout out to my little Carlos, my little buddy, my best friend. No, I would just say, I did this for you, helped me be a better person. I hope I can make you proud. My son.